today I'm going to unbag and take a look at Strategy and Tactics number 106, which contains the game, the Pleasant Hill, the Red River campaign, or the Battle of Pleasant Hill game, whichever way you want to call it. I've seen it labeled a couple of different ways. And this is when Strategy and Tactics was still with SPI. And the Pleasant Hill game is a Civil War game. It's dealing with a battle in Louisiana in 1864 where the Union forces were moving up the Red River Valley towards Shreveport, got overrun at Mansfield, and then retreated back to Pleasant Hill to take up a defensive position, and I think that's where the action takes up in this game. This is part of the great battles of the American Civil War, which I believe it got its start at Terrible Swift Sword, and it continues on to this day, but probably not recognizable by today's standard, or this game would probably not be recognizable by today's standard because there have been a lot of changes to that system over time. And this is closer to some of the original games that came out. So this is a magazine game. What is a magazine game? Well, it's just that. It's a magazine, Strategy and Tactics, and a game. And typically in these magazine games, you'll get the rules, you'll get a map, you'll get a counter sheet that goes with the game. You will not get dice, of course. It doesn't fit into the bag. But that's usually all you need to add to these games is your own dice. Other than that, in the magazine, usually there's an article that is tied to the actual game. So I expect to see an article on the Red River campaign, but we shall see when we get in the bag. And with that, let's get in the bag. Also, I'm covering this during my American Civil War week, where I decided to take a look at some Civil War games that are not traditionally or not typically looked at. I've covered a lot of folio the mini games series, and decided I'll cover this as well because this is relatively old. I mean, number 106, but it is part of the Great Battles series, so I wanted to take a look at that. So here is the magazine, and here's the map and counters, as I promised. Let's put those off to the side and take a look at this. So you can see there's a little bit of, I don't know, I think this might have been originally more white. It looks a little colored, and you can tell how old it is. Look at those floppy disks. Wow. That brings back memories, doesn't it? So here is the features in this magazine. You have the Red River Campaign, the ill-fated Western Expedition of Nathaniel P. Banks, 7th March to 20th May, 1864. So there is an article on this. Then there is the Simulation Pleasant Hill. That'll be the rule set for this game. War games writ large. For your information, Berg's review of games. And Richard Berg, the late Richard Berg, was notorious for his reviews and sometimes very candid speaking on some of these things. Then you have your other regular departments here as well. So this is March to April 1986. So where were you in 1986 when this magazine came out? So here's outgoing mail. Here's some war game books or war books, history books to pick up. Here's the rising cost of war, Spanish honorary rank during the 19th century. Interesting article there. Then we get to the Red River Campaign. So this is one of the reasons why I tend to like magazine games. One is they're easy to store back. If the rules are easy to take out, I take them out and put them with the map and the counters. In this case, sometimes the old Strategy and Tactics or SPI or some of the other old war game magazines that came with the game, the rules were kind of nestled in, and you had to take them out with, you had to take out the staples to be able to pull them out. And sometimes they weren't nicely put in the middle. They kind of carried over, so it made a little bit of a problem. But this you also, so not only you do get a portable game and somewhat of an affordable game. I mean, back in the day, this was $7.50. The price of magazine games now are 40 or sometimes more, depending on shipping and the like. But they also gave you an article on the game itself, so it's almost like you've got kind of a historical treatment to go along with your game, so you can find out about it. And a lot of times that was necessary because they cover, a lot of times, not all the time, but they cover battles that are not covered that much. So you can learn something. Hey, what a novel idea. But you can actually learn something new about a battle or campaign that is not covered as much. And I do not believe that this campaign or battle is covered a lot in the current offering of Civil War games. There might be a few out there, but don't know of very many that covers this particular campaign in 1864. So there's an article on here. You get a map of the situation, and here they are, moving up the Red River Valley, and there's Shreveport, attack at Mansfield, and a retreat back to Pleasant Hill. And where is Pleasant Hill on here? I don't see it. Maybe it's so small. So maybe it's around here somewhere. Anyway, triple column in here. Oh, here we go. Maybe this is a little bit better. Here's Banks Route. So you see a little bit more. Oh, there's Pleasant Hill right there. So there's Mansfield. So Pleasant Hill's just south of it a little bit. So it's in between that Grand Encore and Mansfield on that previous map. But you get a little bit of detail about this battle, including some battle maps. It's always interesting. And here's the Pleasant Hill map at 5 to 6 p.m. and at 6 to 7 p.m. So this is a relatively later into the afternoon or early evening battle. And there you have it. Then you have the standard rules for the great battles of the American Civil War. So this is the standard rules for the series, which included at this time Pea Ridge, Drive on Washington, Wilson's Creek, Cedar Mountains, Jackson at the Crossroads, and Battle of Corinth. So maybe this is the 6th or 7th game in that series. And it shows you how to read the case number system right there. And then here are the rules. And again, triple column. You're not going to see color back in 86 in here, but you might see a few images, especially explaining the counters and some examples of play. This is dealing with facing. Facing is important in this series at this time. Stacking, fire combat. There's an example of that. And then you get into, so this starts at 10, so then inset in the middle of these rules are the Pleasant Hill Game of the Red River campaign exclusive rules. So these are the rules for the game that you get in this magazine, but you need to have the standard system rules to play it as well. So you need to understand the system. Then you can go into the detail for Pleasant Hill, which is going to add modifications and additions to the standard rules. Not a whole lot there. Something about some stuff on artillery, stuff on independent units, maybe a description of the unique terrain, route and retreat, command structure, ammunition supply, brigade combat effectiveness loss, setup of the game, and reserve units and activation. And how to win. We got to read that, right? And then I wonder if that's the whole game. That is the inset there. So I wonder if that is the entire kit and caboodle of the game. No, it looks like there's some more in here. That's why I was saying sometimes the way you have to pull out, you have to reorganize the book a little bit. But this looks like this is continuing an article or something here on 33. Or maybe it's just talking about the generals. Not certain there. Because here's your counter manifest. And then here's your Confederate Order of Battle roster and Union. And you can check off boxes here. I don't know if that's losses or ammunition, probably losses that you have there. And then you're continuing on with the rules here. And these magazine games don't really come with player aids, so a lot of the charts and everything are either on the board, which are most of the modern magazine games usually try to put a lot of it on the map itself, but the older ones put everything inside the book, and so that's where you had to go find your charts, and a lot of times you had to make your own player aids if you wanted to have easy reference. Melee combat, morale, and route. Retreats, so we're on with the rules. I mean, the Great Battles of the American Civil War is not the easiest of systems. It's relatively robust and chromy and complex for a tactical system. And then here's those charts I was telling you about. You've got all your leader casualty tables, standard game turn, your standard rules and charts and tables. So you have your combat results or fire combat results, melee, density of ammunition. So you got all that. Oh, look at that. That's the line of sight gauge there. Let's do a close up of that. That's interesting. And then we're into articles by the late John Prados here. War Games Writ Large. You take a look at that. Some advertisements in here. Computer Conflict. Berg's review. He's talking about the Russian Front and Julius Caesar games are featured. Oh, we gotta see what he thinks of those. An ad for GDW here, which there's the Europa series, and then some standard departments, books and review, replays, and the like. So there is the page through of what you get, and some classifies of what you get in the magazine. But it's mainly the rules, but you also looks like you get some more advertisements there. West End games. RAF, I have that. I have the West End Games version. Imagine that. So you get an article, and the rules are the primary feature of this one to go along with the game here. There's other stuff in there, but that's the link, is the article and the rules. So let's look at this map here. And it looks like we have some charts and tables on this map as well, so we're not completely stuck in the book. Okay, let's go up Periscope a little bit and see what we have here. You know, it's a kind of a standard SPI type map. They use different colors for the different elevations of terrain. You know, from level 1 to the tan's level 2. This little bit darker tan or brown is level 3. This clear brown over here is level 4. So those are your 4 levels of terrain here, and then you have forest and streams that are going through here, and roads, and then you've got Pleasant Hill over here. Let's take a little wider look here. And we have a terrain effects movement chart right here. Looks like we have the turn chart right here. We have the reserve activation schedule. And then let's see what we have down below here. Oh, it's the other way, so we got to look at it the other way. Let's take a look at that here. So what we have there is Union Brigade release table, the range effects table, the terrain effects on combat table. So we have one on movement, one on combat. Then you have the stacking restrictions chart. So there you have it. That is the map of for Pleasant Hill, and this is kind of a standard map by today's, a standard single map by today's estimates. I don't know what the measurement on that, but it looks relatively standard of some single maps that I've pulled out, or at least definitely 4 magazine games, but quite a bit of area to cover here. And then we also have the counters, which are going to be standard for SPI of the time. Little thin there, and I imagine that these are going to have some nibs. It looks like you're going to have side nibs. Some people really hate that, but so you got the nibs are on the top, bottom, and 2 sides. So you can see that, but there are the counters, 200 pieces it says. And then you have a lot of administrative type counters and pin there and ammo. And these are double-sided. And it looks like these are probably leaders. Are those leaders? Yeah, those are leaders. So you got a little cross there when you lose that leader. So there is the back. Sorry for the glare there. There's the back of the counter. So this is what you get in a bag, if yours comes in a bag, but of a Pleasant Hill. I'll go up top here so you can see the title a little bit of the game there. So this is what you get in a bag of Pleasant Hill, or also known as Pleasant Hill, the Red River Campaign, or also known as Strategy and Tactics number 106, which came out originally in 1986, and was publisher was SPI at the time. So there you have it. That is what I have for you today. Another somewhat rare or not as common of a American Civil War battle, but covered in a very famous system, or at least now. Of course, it's changed over time, but this was this, by some people, is the system for tactical or grand tactical American Civil War to recreate battles. And you get a magazine to boot. You get get an article on the campaign to learn about it, plus some other goodies as well. Anyway, that's what I have for you today. Thank you so much for stopping by. And if you stopped by this whole week and followed me on some of the other games I've covered, thank you. I appreciate it. And the best way I know you stopped by is drop me a comment. Let me know what you think about this game. Did you have this game back in the day, or have you played this game? Or what do you think about the great battles of the American Civil War as it was and what it is today, which still is very rich and vibrant and ongoing and ever expanding. So anyway, thanks all, and have a good one. Thanks for watching.